Hello everyone. These are your electromagnetic spectrum notes. As I go through these notes, feel free to pause the video at any time as you need to write anything down. You're going to add these notes to your electromagnetic spectrum foldable. So if you haven't done your foldable yet, you need to go back and do the foldable first. All right, so the electromagnetic spectrum is all of the energy that's coming from the sun, and it's all different forms of wavelengths. So here's a picture of it. So the different wavelengths goes from longer wavelength all the way to shorter wavelengths from left to right. So radio waves, for example, would be the longest wavelengths. And I have some numbers up here for you, right? So it goes from 1 kilometer all the way to 10 millimeters. It would be considered a radio wave. As we go from left to right, it goes radio and then microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. So as we go from left to right, the wavelength gets shorter, the energy gets higher, and how dangerous it is to humans also gets worse as we go from left to right. The frequency also decreases from left to right. So in the next few slides we're going to go through, we'll talk about each of the parts of the electromagnetic spectrum and some examples. All right. So first one is radio waves. Now radio waves cover wide ranges. They're very large waves, and so they can go pretty far distances. They have wavelengths larger than 30 centimeters. What are some things that use radio waves? Well, obviously, radios use radio waves. AM has a longer range than FM, actually. TVs use radio waves, and cell phones use radio waves. So here's a picture of some radio waves. And as you can see, what's happening here is the radio waves will bounce around the atmosphere. AM, for example, you will see can bounce around the atmosphere at different layers and reach different radio transmitters. Microwaves are the next level. So we're getting a little shorter wavelength than radio waves. We're getting a little higher energy and a higher frequency. So microwaves have a wavelength of between 1 millimeter and 30 centimeters. Some things that use microwaves were obviously microwave ovens. Radar uses microwaves, and the Wi-Fi on your phone and on your computer use microwaves as well. Now, a lot of people think of microwaves as cooking their food, and that is true if they're focused in a microwave oven. But normally, microwaves just bounce around and they're harmless to us. Cell phones also use microwaves. All right, so as you can see from this diagram, a microwave can pass through the atmosphere. Radio waves, like right here, radio waves get bounced or can't go through all of the atmosphere, all right? But microwaves can pass through the atmosphere, and they can go to a satellite and then be redirected to different places. So here's some other pictures. You can see the microwave, cell phone. You can look at satellites, right? Satellite, the radar, cell phones, towers, all those things are microwaves. Next is infrared waves. These waves are between 700 nanometers and 1 millimeter. Some things that give off infrared, well, everything gives off infrared waves. People give off infrared waves. Light bulbs, buildings, trees, all give off infrared waves or light. Warm things give off more infrared waves than cool things. So this is why we say that infrared is really seeing heat. So for example, these are used in astronomy photos to detect thermal energy. So on the left here we have constellation, right? And then here through a filter that allows you to see all of the infrared. So normally our eyes can't perceive this, but if we use a special filter, you can see the heat energy coming off of these stars, for example. This is Orion. Some animals, like snakes, see in the infrared. What would it look like to see in the infrared, you ask? Well, here we go. We have machines that can help us see into the infrared, infrared goggles, okay? So there you can see a human, a little kid. That's like a cup of water, some water that's hot, window. So take a look. And now what you can see here is the colder places are dark, yeah, like the nose here. And then the hotter places would be the brighter places. Okay? So for example, this torch right here, right? Very hot, cool around it. Now what do you think that is? That's weird. Okay. All right, now visible light, this is what we can see. All right, wavelengths between 400 and 700 nanometers. Actually, quite a small amount of wavelengths that our eye can perceive. The light that humans are able to see is what visible light is. All right, we can see colors. The colors we can see are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Though some scientists have argued that we cannot actually perceive indigo, and so technically it's been taken out. The mnemonic I remember is just Roy G. Biv. That's the order of wavelengths. So red would have a longer wavelength, violet would have a shorter wavelength. So there they are right there. Red, orange, yellow, blue, green, blue, indigo, violet, sorry. All right, now, white light is all of the colors. If you pass white light through a prism, it will break down into all of the individual wavelengths, which we perceive as different colors. We'll talk a lot more about visible light in the near future. All right, once you get past visible light, it's called ultraviolet light, also called ultraviolet radiation. At this point, we are getting to the wavelength short enough and high enough energy that it can damage human cells. So UV radiation, right? Wavelengths between 60 and 400 nanometers. This is called UV light. It kills bacteria in food or surgical tools, so we do use ultraviolet lamps to do that. We produce vitamin D when exposed. Calcium absorption also has helped when you're exposed to ultraviolet light, but we don't need a lot of it. Sunburns are also caused by UV light. Cancer, wrinkles, right? Does anyone know the difference between getting a tan in a tanning bed or going outside and standing in the sun? The difference is when you go outside, you're getting cancer for free, and when you go to a tanning salon, you're paying them for cancer. All right, so here's a couple pictures. This is what it would be like if we could see into the ultraviolet. All right, X-rays. X-rays have a wavelength between 0.001 nanometers and 60 nanometers, so we're getting pretty tiny here. Uses for X-rays. There are quite a few, actually. Security devices at the airport, for example, see into your bag. Medically, of course, we can see your bones, see if they're broken. So here's a couple interesting pictures. So the X-rays allow a film to be developed so you can see through the skin and into the bones. By the way, don't try that at home. All right, the last part of the electromagnetic spectrum, the highest energy, the shortest wavelengths, and the highest frequency are gamma rays. Now, these have a wavelength of anything shorter than 0.1 nanometers. Gamma waves can pass through thick concrete. It takes about 1/8 of an inch of lead to stop a gamma ray from going through. Like I said, these are the highest energy waves, highest frequency, shortest wavelength. There are some uses. We use them to treat some forms of cancer. We also kill bacteria in food, meat, and fresh fruit. They don't stay in the food, though. So if you are eating something that's been irradiated by gamma rays, it doesn't actually stay in the food and harm you. It just kills the bacteria. So cancer treatments are a big one. These machines here go around, move around, and shoot a tumor, for example, which is a growth of cells, right, which is a type of cancer, and it would go and shoot the cancer. The idea would be that the radiation would destroy the cancerous cells before it destroys the rest of your body. Here are some images of evidence of gamma rays throughout the solar system. All right, and that is it. Thank you, and I will see you soon.